Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Ganpriya University, Jaipur. And in today's video lecture, we'll be covering a very important but a very small concept, that is consumer surplus. So, what is consumer surplus? As the name suggests, it is that point of level where the consumer are getting satisfied more than what they were actually assuming. So consumer surplus is actually the difference between what you pay and what you were willing and able to pay, right? Let us just take a very short example to understand what do we mean by consumer surplus. So let us just assume that we want to buy pen and we were in that capability and we were ready to pay rupees 10 to buy a ball pen, right? When we went into the market and asked the shopkeeper, he said that MRP is 8 rupees, right? So that means the difference between what I was willing and I was able to pay versus what you have actually paid, that is 8 rupees. The difference between these two rupees, is what is your consumer surplus. That means the consumer is in that position where he have somewhere down the line achieved his surplus position. That means he have paid less what he was expected to pay, right? So he was actually willing to pay 10 rupees, but he have just paid 8 rupees, and he is in that 2 rupees saving area. He have ultimately somewhere down the line saved 2 rupees. How? Because he was ready to give 10 rupees, but now he have just given 8 rupees. So these 2 rupees he have saved, and that is your consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is felt in commodities which are highly useful but relatively cheap. The example which we have taken, like use and throw ball pens, newspapers, salt, matchboxes, post stamps, etc. So these are highly useful. Their consumption is, very rapid. People keep on buying these products on and off, and they sometimes known as, daily commodities also. And they are relatively cheap because people are, having the need of these items in their day-to-day life. That is why they are, even cheaply rated commodities. So consumer surplus is actually felt in these types of commodities where the commodity which were, people ready to buy at 10, they have actually given it at 2. So the example of our pen, so they have the surplus, or they have saved 2 rupees. For these commodities, we are ready to pay more than what we pay, right? Because if I am a student and I know that my exam is from tomorrow and I need to have a blue pen with me, I will buy it at 12 rupees as well, because I need to have that money. I can pay more than 10 also, even if I was, paying 10 on the daily basis. So these are those commodities for which we are actually, ready to pay a bit more also. If the alternatives is to go without them, right? If you don't have any alternatives, the extra satisfaction that we derive is called the consumer surplus. So these 2 rupees is the extra satisfaction which you have derived, right? So you went into the shop and you said that I have a 10 rupees, I need a use and throw ball pen, just give me. And and the supplier gives you the pen and a 2 rupee coin, so you will be happy. You will be having an extra satisfaction that I have 2 rupees saving with me. I have paid less but achieved or gained more, right? So actually, somewhere down the line, the utils which he was getting for 10 rupees, he have achieved it at 8 rupees only. So he have actually in that surplus position. So now let us just see the few definitions of the customer satisfaction or consumer satisfaction. So as for the Marshall, the excess of the prices which consumer will be willing to pay rather than go without the thing over that which he actually does pay is economic measure of this surplus satisfaction. It may be called customer surplus. So Marshall says that those commodities without which a customer will not like to go back home without buying that product, and in those categories of goods, right, if he get certain kind of discount where he have paid less from what he was willing to pay or he was ready to pay, he will be in that satisfaction area where he have derived more from giving less amount, and that is what is consumer surplus. The another definition says the gap between the total utility of goods and its total market value is called your customer surplus. Right? So they are saying the gap, the difference between the total utility of a good to its total market price is your customer surplus. According to Hicks, the customer surplus is difference between the marginal valuation of a good and the price which is actually paid for it. Right? So over here he is trying to introduce the concept of marginal in his definition, that the difference between the marginal valuation of a unit, the marginal utility which he is deriving from this unit, and the price which he is actually paying, that difference is known as your customer's surplus. Right? So let's just take an example. You go into a store and find a sweater that you like. The price tag on it says $50. You didn't notice the sign saying there is a sale on these items and that the discount is 40%. Right? And you decided that you will value this sweater more than $50, so you will go and buy this sweater. So you went to the sales clerk and asked him to make the bill of it. So while the sales clerk was billing over there, she tells you that this item have a discount of 40%. So you don't have to pay me $50, you just have to pay me $30. Right? So this $20 saving is what is your consumer surplus. Because as per your evaluation, that favorite sweater of yours were actually underrated because you thought that it might be actually more than $50. So if it is a $50, you can buy this product, right? So you were actually willing to pay even more than $50. If it would have been even $60, you were ready to pay because you wanted that commodity. So when the billing was going on at that time, when you come to know that no, actually the value is not the $50, it is $30. That $20 which you have paid less, that is your customer surplus. And that is the situation when you are really very happy and you might like to go and buy one more sweater, right? Because right now, according to you, the sweater which was more than for $50, you are getting it for $20. So you will think that it is a super saving scheme, so let's go and buy one more. So there might be a probability that customer might go and buy one more. So these types of situation where you were willing to pay more but you have paid less, that gap is your consumer surplus. Let's take another example. If a customer is willing to pay $8 for one sweater and the actual price is $4, then the customer surplus is $4, right? Because the difference between the willing amount, that is 8, and the actual price, that is 4, is your $4. So these are these situations which make customers somewhere down the line satisfied and happy, right? So whenever you have decided that you will pay let's say 100 rupees for a particular commodity, and you come to know that it's a big sale or there is a special discount going on and you just have to pay 80 rupees, that 20 rupees which you are saving is your consumer surplus. So let us just see how we plot the consumer surplus on the graph. So this is our demand line or curve. Point is our price, and it is known as an equilibrium price, right? And this part of the graph is your consumer surplus, right? So whatever comes in this area is your consumer surplus. Why so? Because you have paid only 4 rupees, but you were ready to even pay 8765. So these area is your consumer surplus. So now let us just understand the importance of the consumer surplus. That why this concept is, important, and why we are studying this topic, consumer surplus. Every individual should learn this concept. That what do we mean by consumer surplus? So the first importance of this concept is determination of monopoly price. That means this concept is useful to determine the price of commodity, right? Because this helps you out to actually evaluate how much a customer is willing to pay and how much you are ready to, put the tag of sale on that commodity. So it helps you out to determine the price of a commodity. Monopoly producers should observe the psychology of the customers while determining the prices of a product. So when we will understand the different types of market, so there is one type of a market which is monopoly market. In that, there are only one seller and n numbers of buyers. So let's take an example. Your Indian Railway. In India, it is a monopoly market in terms of the Indian railways. The railway system in India is only and only under the Indian Railway. No one else, no private company has right now, introduced their rail system and is not running their own private trains, right? So Indian Railway is that monopoly producer who gives the services of transportation from trains, from the roadways. So when they are determining the prices, the customer surplus concept helps them to understand the customer's psychology, and that psychology helps them to fix the rates of their services, right? So this consumer surplus concept help the monopoly producers or the service providers to decide that price at which the customer will also be satisfied, right? So this is one of the importance of your consumer surplus. The another important area in which your consumer surplus helps you out is your public finance. So, the consumer surplus concept is helpful to formulate the tax policies, which is known as public finances. The best tax policy is that which maximize the public revenues with the less or least sacrifice. For that, government impose high taxes on such commodities where consumer enjoys much surplus. Right? So these are the one of the areas in which the consumer surplus concept help the government to formulate that policy, the taxation policy, right? So that you can earn more of public revenue. Because once you have more of public revenue, you will have a better infrastructure. Because we know that the government earn from our revenues, the taxes which they are, earning, which they are getting, right? So from these tax amount, you will get a better services, you will get better infrastructure, and that is one of the advantage we will have if we understand the concept of consumer surplus. The another important area is your to make cost benefit analysis. So your consumer surplus concept is useful in the field of cost benefit analysis, which is very useful tool in the field of research and developing work. Consumer surplus is measured in terms of benefit and cost of a particular goods. Similarly, to choose a product or a project, it is necessary that benefit or surplus must be greater than the cost. So, in your finance, you have studied the capital budgetings, in which you decide the best suitable project amongst the alternative projects you have, which in which the company will earn more of revenues, right, or more of profits. So, how you do those benefits? Right, so one of the way is to analyze your cost and benefit, the cost which you are going to incur in that project versus the revenues which you will be having. And then when you compare the earning and cost of the different project, you will select the one which have maximum revenue with the minimum cost. So same concept, this helps you out in analyzing the customer surplus. So the another important area in which the customer surplus or a consumer surplus helps us out is for the comparison of economic condition. So we can actually compare the economic condition of nation by the help of concept of consumer surplus. In developed nations, commodities are available at cheaper rate, so consumers can enjoy higher surplus. But in underdeveloped nations, commodities are available at high prices where consumer enjoys low surplus. So higher customer surplus is identified as a developed nation and vice versa. So actually, whenever we have to compare the economic condition of any nation, we can understand it by understanding the customer satisfaction level, right? The consumer surplus can be calculated, and we can easily evaluate that which country is developed or which country is underdeveloped, right? So how you will do it? Then whichever country is developed country, the commodities available will be at the cheap rate, and they will be enjoying at they'll be enjoying more or high surplus in comparison to the countries or the nations which are underdeveloped. So this is one of the ways in which you can compare the economic conditions of the nations. The last point is international trades. So consumer surplus concept is best for international trades. Goods which have large consumer surplus should be imported. The goods that have large consumer surplus in domestic production, then import should be imported. Should not be imported. That means they should be not purchased outside from other countries. Right? So this is another way, a very important way in which the international trades take place. Many countries, governments follows this concept of understanding what to get imported and what not to get imported. So those goods which have larger consumer surplus in domestic productions, they should not be imported, right? Now let us just understand the criticism of consumer surplus. It is said that the consumer surplus is imaginary idea. It is difficult to say how much one is prepared to pay, and if it is set, it will be unreal. And yes, it is a true, because I might be able to pay, or I might be willing to pay 100 rupees for a particular commodity, whereas few of you might not be willing to pay 100, you might be willing to pay 80 or 70. So it is an imaginary concept, it is an individual concept. We cannot assume that my thinking and belief will be same as all the people in the market might be thinking, right? So this is an imaginary idea, Because for me, I am earning, and that is why I might be able to pay 100. But for you as a student who are dependent on your savings from your pocket money, you might not be in that condition to pay 100 rupees. So for you, your consumer surplus will be different, and for me, my consumer surplus will be different. And that is how the consumer surplus of different income groups also varies. So people who are earning high income might have different consumer surplus for the same product in comparison with the people who are below the poverty line or who are just on the poverty line and they are earning the basics, right? So for them, their consumer surplus will be different for the same commodity, right? So that is why it is said and it is criticized that this idea, this concept is imaginary concept. The another criticism is the consumer surplus is very difficult to measure exactly because different people are prepared to pay different amount, and hence it is very difficult to measure total consumers surplus in the market. So yes, again the same point, it might be very difficult for us to measure, right? Because if we take even the average will not be even the correct measurement or the correct statistical tool to have the idea of what will be the consumer surplus at the market level, because it have different opinions, different psychologies of different people. So the different people will have their own quotations, will have their own, price which they will like to pay or which they will be willing to pay for that particular commodity. So it is actually very difficult for us to calculate it. The third criticism is that this concept does not apply to necessary items. For example, if you ask how much a man be ready to pay for a glass of water when he is dying of thirst, it is really very difficult to say the exact amount. Thus, consumer surplus in such cases is immeasurable. Right? So, for a person who is earning 100 rupees or who is having a total savings or an investment of 100 rupees, he will say 100 rupees for a glass of water. But if a person is a wealthy, right, he have billions and millions of rupees, so he will definitely say more than 100 rupees. So again, this concept cannot be implemented on the necessary items like your water, your food, your shelter, your clothing, right, the salt. This is also one of the very basic necessary items. In India, if you go, it will be the atta, it will be the rice, it will be the pulses. So these all are the necessary, these all are the basic commodities which a consumer needs. And playing on that on the basis of customers' willingness, it is not possible. You cannot apply the consumer surplus concept on these categories of goods, right? Even in the necessary items, we can have the emergency drugs or we can have those medications which every diabetic patient need or every BP patient need, the daily tablets, the medical facilities they need to have, the insulin vaccines which a diabetic patient need to have. Those items can also not be categorized in this category. So let us just have a quick recap of what we have studied. So today we have started and understood a very small and important topic, that is consumer surplus. So what is consumer surplus? Consumer surplus is the difference between what you, that means the consumer, has paid and what you were willing or you were in that capability to pay. So we took the example of pen, right? So at just a day before the exam, you were ready to pay 10 rupees for a pen, but the MRP was 8, so you paid 8 rupees. The 2 rupees which you have saved is that extra satisfaction, and that is your consumer surplus. So the consumer surplus is left in the commodities which are highly useful but relatively cheap, like your newspaper, salt, matchbox, postage stamps, etc. For these commodities, we are ready to pay more than what we pay, right? So we can pay 10, we can even pay 100 rupees for these items because they are, useful. You have to pay more if you need it, right? So in the situations like your drought and in the situations like flood, the natural calamities, you'll definitely be willing to pay more of money for very basic items like for water or for basic food packages, right? So there also consumer surplus is difficult to calculate. Then we understood the definitions given by the Marshall, Hicks, right? So we saw the three important definition. Then we took the help of two more examples. The one was of the sweater, which was at the sale or a discount of 40%, and ultimately customer paid less of $20, and he was in that consumer surplus because of these $20. In this example, consumer was in surplus of $4, and this was the area of consumer surplus when we talked about how it looked like on the graph where you have demand curve and the supply curve. So the area, this one highlighted, is your consumer surplus, right? So because you are willing to pay more, right, you were willing to pay $5, $6, 7,000, $7 and $8, so you have just paid $4, right? So this area is your consumer surplus area. We understood the importance of the consumer surplus. That means that it helps to determine the prices in the markets like monopoly. It helps us to know the public finances, helps the government to form the taxation in such fashion that they can maximize their revenues. Then it helps to do the cost benefit analysis. It helps us to compare the economic conditions and help us to know the international trade, that what goods should be imported and what should not be imported. Then we also looked on the criticism. We said that this concept is an imaginary concept. It is difficult for us to, calculate it because every customer have different psyche and different valuation points. One might be willing to pay 100, whereas another might say that I can only pay 50. So this concept is imaginary idea, and it is really very difficult to measure and calculate. And this concept does not apply on the necessary items, and how it is not applicable, we have seen and discussed the two or three examples. So because of the limitations and because of the two very important criticisms, we say that it is actually important for us to understand what is this, but practically we cannot implement this idea on a large scale. But we have seen that how this concept even helps us, right? So one of the biggest advantage was the determining the price in the monopoly market. So it is really very helpful for the international trades. Also, this concept is very important for us to know, even for the formulation of the taxation policies from the government's point of view. Consumer surplus topic is relevant and is important. So now let us just quickly have a recap with this concept of consumer surplus with the help of the MCQs. So I have 10 questions of MCQs with me. We will just discuss those questions and we will self-evaluate it later on by checking the correct answers. So the first two questions are on your screen. So in first question, you have to identify that what do we mean by difference between what you paid and what you were willing to pay. So you have to identify the correct options from option A, B, C, and D. In question number two, you have to identify who have given the definition of consumer surplus, which says the excess of the price which consumer will be willing to pay rather than to go without the thing over that which he actually does pay is the economic measure of the consumer satisfaction. This or it may be called consumer surplus. So who have given this definition from the four renowned economists? Identify the correct person. The third question is consumer surplus will only increase as long as the benefit from the lower price dash the cost from the resulting shortage. So correct option you have to identify that from what lower prices it should exceed, it should not exceed, it should be same or it should fall. The fourth MCQ is in dash in the price will reduce the customer surplus while a dash in the price will increase the customer surplus. So identify the correct option, whether it will be decrease, increase, decrease, decrease, increase, decrease, or increase, increase. The The fifth question is again to identify who has defined consumer surplus as the gap between the total utility of a good and its total market value is called consumer surplus. So identify the correct author or the correct so identify the correct person who has defined the consumer satisfaction with this definition. The sixth MCQ is again to identify who has defined consumer surplus as it is the difference between the marginal valuation of a unit and the price which is actually paid for it. The seventh MCQ is to identify the customer surplus level if a consumer is willing to pay 8 rupees for one sweater and the actual price is 4 rupees. So identify the correct option, that is, it is rupees 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. So you have to calculate the consumer surplus in this question. In the eighth MCQ, again, you have to identify the consumer surplus. If a consumer is willing to pay 500 for one sweater and the actual price is 200, so it will be 400, 500, 200, or 300. So again, in this MCQ also, you have to calculate the consumer surplus. The ninth MCQ is to identify the correct option, in which dash is generally defined as the one who pays the consumed the goods and services produced by a seller, which can be companies or organization. So who is that particular party which is known as the person who pays to consume that goods and services which are produced by the seller? They are producers or consumer or seller or manufacturer. You have to identify the correct option. The 10th MCQ is consumer surplus is the difference between dash. So you have to identify that what phrase will complete the sentence. So you have to identify the correct option. Is it A, B, C, or D? So before we check the correct answers, let us just first solve these two numericals. So to know how much is the consumer surplus in your MCQ 7, we will actually subtract 8 and 4, which is 4. So 4 is your correct answer, that is option A, right? What we have done, the amount which we were ready to pay, a consumer was ready to pay, we have subtracted it with the amount what he have actually paid, and we have calculated our consumer surplus. Same way for our eighth question also, we will subtract 500 with 200, that means 300 is our consumer surplus, option number D. So it is really very easy if you know the concept or the definition of what is consumer surplus. From the definition itself, you can, derive the formula and calculate the consumer surplus in these types of questions. So now let's just check the answer of other questions also. The correct answer for question number 1 is A. For question number 2, it's B. For question number 3, again, it's A. For question number 4, the correct answer is option C. For question number 5, the correct option is A. Question number 6, it is A. Question number 7 also. Sorry, question number 6. Sorry, Question number 6, the correct option is C. Question number 7, the correct option is A. Question number 8, the correct option is D. Question number 9, the correct option is B. And for the question number 10, the correct option is C. I do hope that you have scored 10 on 10. Please do solve these MCQs and check and evaluate yourself, because this is one of the very simplest way through which we can check how much you have learned from this particular video. Let us just have again a quick recap what we have covered today. Today we have studied the consumer surplus, the definition, the meaning of the consumer surplus. That means the difference between what you pay and what you were willing or able to pay. Then we have seen the definitions given by the Marshall, Samuelson, Hickson, and then we saw two examples. We understood the area of consumer surplus on the graph also. We saw and discussed the importance of the concept from the point of view of determining the prices in the monopoly market, for the public finance to make the cost benefit analysis, comparison of the economic conditions, international trade. And we also understood the criticisms, the three very important criticism, that is that it is an imaginary concept, it is very very difficult to calculate, and the amount varies as it is related to a consumer psycho, right, and it is difficult to measure because it is a concept which is related with the consumer behavior, consumer psychology, which keeps on changing. It is not the same for everyone. So, and the another very important criticism is that this concept does not apply on the necessary items. We even discussed it, that why it does not apply, and we even discussed the another examples to understand the concept of consumer surplus. We took the help of the MCQs to check our learning from today's video lecture, and these were the answers of this 10 MCQs. I do hope that you have understood the concept. It was very small but very important for us to understand. Thank you everyone for watching this video lecture. Thank you and happy learning.